And I'm live. Good morning. It must be a Monday morning, and my hair is all messed up like usual. Hi, everyone. As you can tell, I have come down with the crud from hell. Um, However, at least you can hear me now, because let me tell you, 2 days ago, you couldn't understand me at all. I wasn't sure if I would be here this morning. So, yay, team! Vitamin C and medication and Dayquil for the win. So we're here, and hot coffee, of course, as usual. Excuse me. Um, so, sitting here in the end of September in a sleeveless tank top, sweating because of Indian summer or climate change or whatever you want to call it, is not all that cool. However, it's almost November, and for anybody who doesn't write, that might not seem like a big deal. So what, November? Um, for anybody who crafts, that means it's time to start making shit for Christmas. But if you are a writer, November means it's time to start writing your novel for National Novel Writing Month, which is also called hashtag NaNoWriMo. And I participate in NaNoWriMo most years. I've been doing it for a while now. I have won, what, 3, 4 years running, which is awesome. Winning isn't I mean, you get a certificate and it's really cool. And it's nice to print it off and stick it up over the computer so that I see it and I have a good feeling. But you don't get a ribbon or automatic publishing rights or anything like that. What you get is a piece of very long uh, written stuff, which is 50,000 or more words, which you then have to go to the trouble of editing and revising and rewriting and turning into a book, which is a lot more painful than the actual November writing process. I speak from extreme personal experience. Writing it is a lot easier than editing it. Yes, people, I am still editing book number 2. Yes, it is still coming out this autumn. I don't know if it's gonna come out before October. I apologize. It has been slow going between all of the Ren Fair stuff and then getting sick and new boyfriend and all of the things which have been eating my time. Um, it's just been a little crazy. Um, so, but anyway, November is coming, and for those of us who do NaNoWriMo every year, October is kind of the prep time for that. And so throughout November or throughout October, I spend a lot of time first off figuring out what I'm going to write. The last 2 years running, it was easy. Well, I'm going to write the book about Alex, and then when it turned out that she didn't die at the end, the hell, I was writing the second book about Alex. I was originally intending to write the third book about Alex this year, and I have the plot lines for that and everything, and I have Boku notes and just boatloads of written stuff. However, for a variety of reasons, I'm not actually going to write that book right now. It might be next year, it might be before next year. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But what I am going to be working on is the Reenactors Cookbook, which may or may not be named the Reenactors Cookbook when it hits the bookstores. I don't know yet. But what happened was that this summer, my little SCA household became also a Ren Fair household, which also became a reenacting group, which became very popular, really kind of all at once. And so instead of it just being myself and my best friend Tracy, hi Tracy, um, it became this kind of thing which exploded. And we had requests from the New Hampshire Ren Fair, which is awesome because that's our home fair, and we donate our time to them completely and utterly. We don't ask a dime from them because because the New Hampshire Ren Fair writes checks to the New Hampshire Food Bank, to Rockford Meals on Wheels, a bunch of other charities, and they're awesome, and I love them desperately. So we donate that time. We do for the Mass Ren Fair. We work with the Knights of Lord Talbot with that. Again, we do that for free gratis. We feed everybody, we have fun, we build community because that's what we like to do. But we also had requests from the Connecticut Ren Fair, from the New Rhode Island Ren Fair, from the upstate New York, Greenfield, New York, I think, Ren Fair, from the Maine Ren Fair. I mean, we had so many requests and we couldn't fulfill them all because we have other things that we're doing as well. Um, but at the fairs that we did work at, and even at the SCA events we were at, the request that we had time and time again was, do you have your cookbook ready? Is your cookbook out? Do you have these recipes? Give me your recipes. Give me your recipes. Okay, message received. I am going to make the recipes up. Yay, team. Um, I have the list of recipes, although it did change slightly after some things that happened this summer. Um, a couple of recipes got dropped and a couple more got added in because yum. Um, and so there's a little bit of jogging and figuring out how things are going to go. But this November, this NaNoWriMo, instead of writing fiction, I'm writing nonfiction and I'm writing the book, which will include not only the recipes, but also information on things like how to cook over a fire, how to cook on a gas or an electric range, how to prep at home and then heat it up over a fire so that it looks period, even if it's kind of a little bit of modern stuff thrown in, and how to do all of the prep at home and then take those things with you so that people can see how it was put together, but it's not made on site. Because sometimes that's just not possible. And some of the shortcuts that we've taken. For instance, one of the things I'm going to talk about when we work the New Hampshire Ren Fair, there is zero running water, none. There is no running water for anything. And so that becomes problematic from a food cooking perspective. Excuse me. The joy of live podcasts, you get to hear me cough. Yay. um, so, in order to get around the problems of doing live cooking with no running water, we use tin liners, aluminum liners for our cast iron. We're still cooking in the cast iron, but what happens is that with those liners in there, we don't have to clean the pots afterward. And when you don't have running water, um, cleaning cast iron becomes a big problem and it becomes a health issue, and we're not willing to do that. So we talk about that. And that's actually one of my prep tips. If you're just prepping at home to eat on site so that people can see the finished product, then by all means use the liners. Cook at home in the liner, freeze your food in the liner, and take it with you. Take the whole liner, pop it into your pristine cast iron, and then heat it up. It's amazing because it saves so much time and it saves a lot of cleanup afterward. So that's one of the things that I talk about. But I'm also going to talk a little bit about how do you build a fire? What modern things do I use on an average Ren fair when I'm trying to present something more living history oriented? And what kind of cheats I use when I'm at SCA, where the finished product is what more people are more interested in than in the process. So there's a variety of things that are going to be covered in that, plus the history of each of the recipes. So some of the recipes that we have are things that we made up based on what we've read from archaeological finds and based on the foods that were available at the time and the things that we know about the cooking processes. So for instance, we have a green soup recipe that we use from Viking times. There are no recipes from Viking times. They didn't write it down. I mean, what were they gonna do? Carve it up on a stone? I mean, maybe they did and we just haven't found it, but not likely. What we do have are pots that were found where they've gone and scraped out the interior of the pots and then done a chemical analysis of what was in the pots. And from that, we kind of fake it till we make it. We make it edible. And it's not gonna be exactly the same as what the Vikings ate. Our palate is different, and the way that we make food today is different. We're more interested in how something tastes, and we're more interested in savory being savory and sweet being sweet. In the Middle Ages, especially in the era from kind of the 1100s through the 1600s, Flavor was not actually the reigning reason for cooking something in a particular way. Um, I'm sure that flavor was in there, but they had different tastes than we do, and they were more interested in humors. And balancing your humors was really important. So sometimes when you recreate a recipe, especially from the 1400s, the 1600s, where we actually have receipts, which is what they called them, um, it tastes really weird to us because you've got cinnamon and garlic in the same in the same recipe and galangal, and you're like, I don't know, it just doesn't taste quite the way I want it to taste. Modern palates have different things. Here we go again. Sorry about that. So there's a variety of things which I'm discussing in the book, and all of that is getting written in November. But what am I doing between now and November? Well, I'm making a list. And it's very similar to the same process that I use when I'm writing fiction. I write out the main plot points. In this case, the main plot points are the recipes. Okay, so we're going to do a blancmange because blancmange was used pretty much in every period from the Viking times right through. If you had rice and you had almond milk or milk of some kind and you had chicken, you could make blancmange. And so, I'm picking the recipes and I'm doing a lot of the research in advance because partly because I started writing this book before, but partly because when I sit down to write, I like to write in a glut. So I like to sit down for my 2 hours every morning and just word vomit onto the page. And all of that's going to be the history of the recipes. And I need to know that before I get to that point of writing. When I'm dealing with a fictional novel, it's knowing kind of the big plot points or where the characters are going to be. So this is kind of the nonfiction version of that, if you will. So we're going to get that done through November. Um, all through October, I'm going to be doing the research. I'm going to be doing some testing. So if you live close to me and you are interested in eating some of these foods, you should stop by and make requests because I'll be doing that. Anyway, I'm going to end up sneezing in a few minutes, so I'm going to say goodbye to you all. Check in next Monday. I'll talk a little bit about things that you can do in prep for NaNoWriMo and how to get yourself on track. So, see you next week. Bye.